we were with Jesus on the other side of this sea, Sea of Galilee, and we were talking to Jesus about something, and all of a sudden he said, hey, let's go to the other side of this lake. So he's like, all right, yeah, sure. So we started looking for a boat. We found this boat. We began to sit in it. And then all of a sudden, like, he was sitting in the back. He began to, all of a sudden, he began to slowly but surely fall asleep. Now, we didn't think nothing of it. You know, he's human. Sure enough, he falls asleep just like everybody else. He gets tired. So we started talking to each other, and we began to see this huge storm coming off from the side in the distance. And we could hear, like, the wind blowing, and then there was this rain started hitting the water. And it seemed like the more and more we started going, the thunder started to hit. And all of a sudden, before we knew it, this storm was right on top of us. Now, the water started to rock back and forth, and it seemed like we couldn't control it at all. And it seemed like we were about to die, and we couldn't control anything. And we all started freaking out, thinking like, are we even going to survive this? And then Peter lost his shoe, and then we started to fall the boat, and we started screaming, help! You're about to die, help! And then somebody said, hey, we should wake up Jesus! So we turned around and he was asleep. So we said, Jesus, wake up! Wake up! So he woke up, and then he said, storm, be calm. And it was it. You know, it's funny the way storms act for us. We tend to think that we're about to lose our lives, and it seems like nothing can control any of it. What's funny about storms is we tend to lose things in them as well. We tend to lose our sense of self, and things get so chaotic around our lives. You know, when I came out here earlier, I was talking about this hidden identity within inside. And what's so funny is that Paul talks about this identity within inside. So if you have your Bibles, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to open them to 2 Corinthians. Second what? And if you don't have it, that's okay, but I strongly encourage you to bring your Bibles. Now, if you don't have it, in 2 Corinthians chapter verse 7 through... Alright. Now Paul's talking to us, and he says that in this first verse, in verse 7, he said, but we have this treasure in jars of somebody say jars of clay. You know what he's talking about? He's talking about me and you. Yeah, us. But we're not jars of clay, are we? Well, guess what? When God made us, he literally took the dirt from the ground and breathed life into us and made us straight from dirt. That's what Adam actually means. So we made us from dirt. We can actually say we're jars of clay. So Paul's saying, hey, we have this treasure inside jars of clay. He said not the outside, but the inside. So if we could stay on verse 7. Stay on verse 7. He said that he had this treasure in jars of clay. He says that we are, he goes on and says that this treasure that's actually inside, not outside, but actually inside, is actually from God, but not from us. Who's it from? It's from God. It says that this jar of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. Meaning that, like, listen, there's all these storms that come around us, but listen, we can't control them. Who can? God. And then he says this, he goes on, and he says something huge. So listen, pay attention, pay attention really close. He says this, he says, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not, he says, we're perplexed, but not in, he says, we're persecuted, but not of, he said, we're struck down, but not. Hey, AC and the band, they were singing this song. And he says, listen, because we're struck down, but not destroyed. You remember that? It's kind of like this ball. See, we all used to all be balloons. Now, look, took through this balloon and I squeezed on every side, sooner or later, if it was a balloon, it would all of a sudden begin to pop like a bubble. But guess what? It says that, listen, we set God inside ourselves. We have this identity of God inside us. We can be hard pressed on every side, but not crush. He said, look, we'll be perplexed, but not in. He said, we'll be persecuted, but not. He said, we'll be struck down, but not. Now it goes on, it says even more. And it says this. It says that we always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. Listen, if we have this secret identity within inside us, it shouldn't stay within inside. We should live in such a way that even though it seems like chaos is going around us, that other people can see that life's going to be okay. In that storm that I talked about, and you talked about it in teen times, it seems like the cycle of life, and it seems like that storm around you got really chaotic. And it seemed they couldn't even control it, could they? But guess what? In our very same lives, it seems like a lot of things happen around us that we can't control. But we learn in this passage that who can? So listen, this awesome passing power and this body that's inside us, this jars of clay. He said that we're jars of clay. We have awesome passing power that's inside us. He said, but listen, we should live in such a way that it may also be revealed in our body, so that everyone else can see that even though our lives gets chaotic and it seems like we can't handle these things, that we can still be okay because why? Oh, come on. And today in the teen time, you learned that I'm okay because. We're talking about our identity. You see, a lot of times when we look at God, I too, we forget about how powerful He is. Listen, today I want you to think about how powerful God is. Because He's so powerful that if He can calm a storm, just think about what He can do with our very lives. You know, sometimes we forget looking God eye to eye, that if we actually have a relationship with Him and have the identity of God inside us, He also gives us power to us. But there's a way we can control this storm using God's power. I said there's a way we can control these crazy storms that are around us. In a second, I'm going to come back out here and talk to you about how we can actually control the storm.